Okay, let's quickly look at what the headlines have for us this morning, starting with the Nigerian pilot. FG sets panel to probe Beta Edu, and that's in red, jumping at us, screaming headlines. Directs thorough, comprehensive investigation into alleged malfeasance, expresses concern regarding alleged payment of funds into private accounts, that appropriate action will be taken to ensure breaches, infractions are identified, says Information Minister will provide timely updates on progress of probe. All of that on page 8 of the Nigerian pilot.
All right, let's look at this Nigeria newspaper. Leading story here, Tinubu orders probe into 585 billion naira humanitarian affairs minister scandal. Serap to president, direct AGF Fagbemi anti-graft agencies to investigate payment of grant to private account. Embattled Minister Beta Edu says it's smear campaign. 2027, we will stand fully with President, says Wike. Tom pledges support of G5 on page 18.
To the Daily Sun now, same story ringing out on the front page. Alleged funds diversion, FG probes Beta Edu, vows to unravel details of financial mismanagement by humanitarian minister. As fresh documents reveal, she approved 3.1 million naira for flight tickets, airport taxes to Kogi State without airport. PDP calls for sack, Serap threatens court action. All of that on page 6. And further down on the page, you see the story, Naira scarcity persists, inflation soars. Nigerians groan over high prices of food, medicines, others.
All right, let's check out First News newspaper, also leading with the 585 million naira scandal. It says Tinubu orders probe of minister threatens sanctions as PDP demands Beta Edu's prosecution, says her continuous stay in office provocative. You also have Falana cautioning embattled minister to stop insulting Nigerians. You may want to pick up the paper and read up the details.
Going on to the Daily Times, it's still the same story. Alleged 44 billion naira fraud. PDP demands Beta Edu sack, prosecution. FG bows to pressure, orders Minister Edu's investigation. We didn't honor Edu's request, says Accountant General of the Federation. Pages 4 and 5 of the Daily Times has that.
The Nigerian Express has this Dangote refinery set date for, or rather to get last 1 million barrels of crude from NNPC. 5 drown as boat capsizes in River Niger. Not sad one there.
To the authority now, suspense as Supreme Court decides Guba election. That's talking about Plateau State. PDP Mutwang insists case is pre-election matter. All of that going on as a top headline on the authority newspaper. And if you go further down, you see the same story about the humanitarian ministry. 44 billion naira fraud. PDP demands Beta Edu sack, prosecution on page 6.
Okay, let's see the People's Daily now. CSO's caution, democracy uncertain if Kanu's and Farah Plateau judgments are manipulated. That's on page 9 of the People's Daily. NDLEA arrests a woman supplying bandits with ammunition, 11 others on page 5.
And of course, Leadership newspaper also has that story, 585 million naira palliatives payment. Tinubu orders probe of Beta Edu, which is on page 7 of that newspaper. And if you go to the top of the masthead, EFCC took no documents, files from our office. That's credited to Dangote Group.
Let's see the Nigerian News Direct leading headline here. It chose to deal with the CBN. It says CBN clears additional $61.64 million a forex backlog to foreign airlines. And that story is captured on page 9 of the paper. 5 dead as boat capsizes in River Niger is also making the front page of the Nigerian News Direct.
The Daily Asset leads with an economic story saying economy worsens as 9 big companies exit Nigeria. Economist fingers weak infrastructure, insecurity. Also cites corruption, multiple taxation, persistent forex challenges. President's foreign trips can bear fruits if, and that is left hanging. You better get details of that on page 2 of the Daily Asset for you to know what the big if is there. And further down, you see the story, son stabs father to death, throws Kano into shock. Murderer suffering from mental disorder, says the NSCDC, that's the Security and Civil Defense Corps.
Okay, the Daily Trust has graphical illustration of this particular story this morning. It says Tinubu's 57.8 billion naira rice palliative raises dust. Constituents accuse legislators of hoarding. How will lobbied president separate reps speak? And then you have Senate silent on Lajez. Reported Tinubu's palliative since assumption of office. You have graphical illustration there. You may want to pick up the Daily Trust and see the details. President orders probe of humanitarian ministry scandals also on the front page. The blueprint now. Anxiety as Yahya Bello moves to unveil Ohinohi of Ebira land. That's on page 5. And then you have the political story there. G5 governors will back Tinubu in 2027, says Otom, the former governor of Benue State. I've no regret supporting Southerner for President Wike. All of that on page 6. The New Telegraph, also leading with the Better Edo story, says Tinubu orders probe of controversial 585 million naira transfer request. Apologize, quit. Falana tells minister her continued stay in office provocative, says PDP. Adeboye, there's money in Nigeria, only in wrong hands. Oh, that's how he says it. Let's go over to the Guardian newspaper now. Federal government in fiscal dilemma over high inflation, low revenue, forex crisis. That's coming on page 6. And when you go further down, just go lower the page, you see the same story on the humanitarian ministry. Tinubu orders probe of Edu humanitarian ministry over 37 billion naira, 535 million naira funds. The Nigerian Tribune also has that as its leading story, the humanitarian affairs issue. Emefiele banks to face probe over forex deals. Probe to cover a 9-year period. That's on page 21. And then PDP governors and WC divided over zoning ahead of Edo governorship primaries. The national economy leads with this story saying declining petroleum production, how Nigeria can end oil theft, vandalism in 2024. Experts. See that picture story? Oh, yes, there. The picture story is interesting. Illustrative of what goes on in the Niger Delta region. You have 6 notable visa policy shifts affecting Nigerians from January as well, making the paper. You check out the business day? Yeah, business day. Talking business. Yeah, really. Okay, it begins with the debt of Nigeria. It says Nigeria's debt to hit 95 trillion naira, up 8-fold. In 10 years. Federal government borrows 2.9 trillion from CBN under Tinubu. Block tax loopholes to boost revenue, Rwani advises. And there's a story there, the big story of the business day. 3 million bank accounts face sanctions as BVN NIN deadline nears. That should scare Nigerians, really, already get them up to go and you know, get that sorted out.
Thank you for watching. If you're new to this channel, consider subscribing so you won't miss out any of our latest video.